Hi,
Hello.
everyone. We
We are
are Don't Mess with the Mommas, Mommas, with our motto. You are the protagonist of your life, not the victim of your destiny.
And I'm Carla.
I'm Arlaana, and today we're doing our 49th episode called The Grudge Detox, the Grudge Detox. But before we do that, we're going to shout out to a couple of people who we're receiving mommas.podcast@gmail.com. Shout out to Mark of Columbus, Ohio, who loved the mirror world. He thought that was a hoot because he said his mother-in-law defined the mirror world of, blaming everybody else and not taking any responsibility and looking, seeing everybody else as the antagonist, and she herself was creating so much negativity. Who do you have?
I have Philip from Wisconsin, and he enjoyed the podcast on the world without greed. He said it was very enlightening, and he thinks that people should really pay attention to some of the things we mentioned.
Yeah, I think that was one of my favorite episodes, we can't think that things are impossible. Everything is possible as long as we're breathing and living and able to think and create. We can create something new. But take it away.
So today, my questions were, what is a grudge? Why we shouldn't keep a grudge? And how do we change a grudge? So, Arlaana, you want to?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, one of the things that I found out is that it keeps you stagnant. You remunerate, keep thinking about what it is. It's like you have a wound, and it's a self-inflicted wound because you don't let go, and it's punitive, which means that you want to get back at the person. When I was coming up, it was like, we couldn't get back at you once. We had to get back at you twice and maybe 3 times. So that was punitive, okay? The other thing is that it has an effect on your physical and emotional health, can make you age, and you're always in a fight or flight type of condition. And you really don't need that. It really wears you down, and you can't enjoy people when you're like that. So
now, and it doesn't mean that you should, just say, "Oh, I forgive you," not in a superficial way, but if you're able to think about the other person and what they're going through. And I'll give you the example of our favorite Apple TV show, and this is a promo for Apple TV, the show Shrinking, which is brilliant. Being a writer, I just love to hear how the writing is doing. They're just brilliant, and the actors are fabulous. And there's a story that one of these guys driving drunk killed the psychologist's wife and young daughter. And they were just so profoundly unhappy. Of course, losing your wife to a drunk driver and the mother of your young child, of course, profoundly sad and so angry that they wanted nothing to do with this guy, and they would love to see him destroyed entirely. And then after many, I don't know, time passing with TV, I don't know relative time, but after many months, let's say, the daughter, as she's grown up now, wanted to have a relationship with him, just to find out what's going on with him. And the father, even though he was a psychologist, was very against this. It was so angry, so angry. He couldn't let go of that anger, and it was destroying him, eating him up inside, as you just said. So when they finally met each other, and then the father was able to meet him as well, they realized that he was suffering even more. Oh, I don't know if you could weigh suffering, but he felt his life was ruined. He could never be happy because he destroyed a family. And they weren't thinking at all from his point of view. So he thought he had no right to ever be happy because he destroyed a family. Now, there are many people out there who, murderers who have no remorse whatsoever. But when you think of those individuals, would you like to be them? You know, whether they get away with the crime or not, to live as a psychopath or a sociopath and have that life, or being raised in a very abusive environment and they themselves become so abusive. How about having that life? So being able to see things from other people's point of view doesn't mean that you forgive them. Like in this, I mean, yes, you can forgive them, but it doesn't mean that, you know, you forget. You know, of course, you'll suffer with the difficulty, but being able to really, you know, have a dialogue and really see that other person as a human being, right? And in South Africa, after, you know, the fall of apartheid, there were many reconciliation dialogues, and that was very difficult for two people who were very, you know, two groups of people very, very negative toward each other, to come and dialogue, to be able to forgive, in the sense of you don't forget, but you do forgive, then you can move on with your life. Otherwise, you yourself become a prisoner. You yourself are suffering.
Yeah. Daisaku Ikeda says that you can't ignore your feelings.
Right.
You know, you feel this, but that you have to move beyond that, and really maybe something's going on with that person, and you know, through that you can change that grudge holding. I remember having a grudge with somebody, and I just couldn't deal with them, and I went all the way into West Hell with myself. And you know, they tell you, you know, they told me, don't hold this grudge, because they're living their life. That's the other thing.
Right.
You're holding the grudge, but
Right.
the other person's maybe oblivious to whatever they did, whatever they said, you know, and you're the one who's suffering, you know, and I just couldn't do it, you know. And then what happened was I eventually broke ties with them. But then another situation came, and I was like, I don't know about this person. You know, I'm going to push them over to that side, and I'll deal with this side over here, and so on and so forth. And what happened was that I got a chance to see them do their human revolution. You know, they changed something about some situation that they were in. And instead of doing one thing, they did something else. And I said, from now, hey, that's my boy. Hey, you're good with me. You're good with me because you were able to do that. So my grudge holding on, you know, that evaporated, you know, and I'm always happy to see them, and I'm trying to make a closer connection. So
you felt so much better.
Oh yes, definitely,
gosh, yeah.
definitely.
It's like, you know, this weight, you know. Share an experience of this woman who deeply respect, and her father left the family, and many of us have experiences like that. And Zoe, no, that's our dog. She's trying to get on the photographer's lap.
Come over here. Come over here.
So he left the family, her and her sister, and the mother, after so many, you know, years of having such a hard time raising these two young girls, ended up committing suicide. So both these girls were so angry at the father and blaming him and holding on to so much resentment. And then after so many years passed, also Daisaku Ikeda encouraged her that, you know, your father must be worried about you. And at that moment, all that resentment left her, because she never looked at what he's going through. The fact that he was a deadbeat dad, you know, I mean, most often deadbeat dads are not living their greatest life, you know, because they realize inside, you know, I was incapable of taking care of my daughters. I couldn't raise my daughters. And even if they're not aware, because they have that cause in their life, not really taking care, there's no way that they have the cause to really live a wonderfully happy life. Maybe on the surface, but inside they are suffering. And what's happened is that she was determined that she was going to reconcile with her dad. And shortly before she was about to do that, he passed away. But because we explained that life is eternal, even through his death, she was able to kind of reach out, in a way that, she felt I can move on now. And she herself felt so much better. So, and sometimes we don't even know what we're holding on to. Sometimes we just push it down, we repress ourselves, and that's where all that therapy comes in, all those dollars for therapy. But, but being able to get rid of it, is so important. And somebody said something to me that was so simple, and it's one of our members in our, our SGI. And she said, if people could do it differently, they would. Most people don't want to think of whatever inappropriate word you want to use, but most people don't want to be like that, but they can't see themselves. They can't perceive how other people see them. So they're just living in a kind of way that just is so hideous, and being able to see them again as other human beings and not hold on to that, because they have to live with their lives. They have to live with the causes that they make. So, for better health, better sleep, better everything, not to hold on to that.
The grudge.
Yeah. And then just two quick other examples that I saw this show on 60 Minutes. My son always complains that I like TV too much, but I do a lot of reading too. Anyway, but there were these this terrorist group, right, in Colombia, South America, called FARC, and they were child terrorists. They were very young, and after they no longer needed to be terrorists, they became these bird watchers and bird protectors. And, to think of these guys carrying guns and now they're taking care of birds, the limitless capacity of a person to change. And now their lives are so much freer. And in a way, it's very metaphorical because the guns kept them as prisoners.
Yeah.
And now the birds are kind of allowing their lives to
They can fly.
To be free,
and soar.
And soar, and to be happy for the first time in their lives, first time. Yeah, so go ahead.
I was just thinking about my mother, I always thought that my mother loved my brothers much more than me, and I was like second-class citizen in the house. And when she was very ill and she was passing away, she said thank you.
Oh, wow.
And just a simple thank you.
Right.
Changed how I felt. And no matter what our past had been, it was like that cleared it out. That cleared it out. I couldn't hold a grudge, couldn't really stay with that thing, because I came to some understanding. Mothers love their sons and fathers are supposed to love their daughters. And if I had had a father, I would have had that love. And then nothing would have been, So I came to that understanding, and it helped me,
That's wonderful. Oh my gosh, how great. And when you said thank you is like, it's like a magic, we learned that when we were little kids, please and thank you are the magic words. And they really are, because one of our leaders in the organization had to go to another country where there was just a lot of dissension, a lot of negativity, and he didn't speak Spanish, so all he knew how to say was gracias. And he would go around everywhere, gracias, gracias. But somehow, because he did that, it's like it broke that negativity, because when somebody's appreciative, showing so much appreciation, you kind of like, really? Do I really need to hold on to this? Do I need to, are they really my enemy? Not at all. Not at all. And of course, we can't, negate the power of dialogue to get rid of grudges and, to be able to talk it through, that you find out that that person is suffering just as much as you, or, even going to war. I mean, what are we doing? Killing each other, killing others. I mean, all human.
And we
We're
don't
all
even know
human.
the other people.
And we don't even know them, right? And once you get to know them, that's why, it's so interesting about food. Food is the ultimate uniter because people love to eat people's different kinds of cuisine and stuff.
Yeah.
And if you want to eat people's cuisine, why wouldn't you want to be friends with that individual
That's
who makes
right.
that cuisine, right?
Right.
I always said jokingly that because we had two restaurants,
Mm-hmm.
all you need to do is bring, all the world leaders together who don't get along with each other, give them a good meal and lots of chocolate for dessert, and we won't have any issue anymore.
No. I was speaking of that. I was thinking, why do we have to have wars to be able to share recipe, see people who know about our culture, sing our songs back to us? I mean, why do we need wars to be able to have a different perspective on how to raise our children? And it's amazing. But hopefully with this little bit of a clash, we'll get to appreciate the other.
Yes, the other. Yes, and in fact, you actually just said the other. And Martin Buber, a very famous philosopher, used the concept of the other. There is no other. There's ourselves. It's not like the other being outside of ourselves. So when I'm just going to share something, and then you go. Yeah, I love this from our international president, Isaac Cater. When we suffer some misfortune, we tend to imagine that no one could possibly be as unhappy or as unfortunate. It's easy to drown in self-pity and turn a blind eye to everyone and everything else. But dwelling on our own pain or discontent and hopelessness only causes our life force to wane even further. It is at such times that we need to rekindle our connection with others, to be concerned with their struggles. In doing so, we discover a renewed sense and strength and the will to live. So what else can we share about grudges? Or overcoming grudges, not holding on to grudges.
Let's see. I think that I was doing some research, and I wanted to find out what President Ikeda had to say about grudges. And I'll just give a little final encouragement on this,
Sure,
or just
encouraging words, yeah.
he said that it was from his peace proposal 2002. And
Do you want to explain about those peace proposals?
oh, well, he gives more or less a map of how the countries can work together. He proposes certain ideas on health, education, culture, what goes on in the UN as far as, veto power. It talks about nuclear disarmament, uh, feeding people, medical care, all these things that are connected to human rights.
Right.
So his piece, and he's written one every year up until I think the time of his death.
Right.
And I was very impressed with what he was talking about. But the thing that I wanted to give as just some encouragement, and if you want to give some more.
Oh, no, please go ahead.
He said that one thing is certain: reprisal invites reprisal. So if we're holding a grudge, you feel this in your heart, but maybe you're going to take a physical action. You don't need to be doing that. Any act of vengeance will inevitably provoke a response and a cycle, and the cycle will continue without end. This is the lesson rooted in the depths of human nature, which has been learned at the cost of untold suffering and bloodshed. He says, crucial to the process is an awareness of the existence of others, to have what might be called an internalized other. It is only through intense spiritual interaction that humans grow and mature. An inner spiritual dialogue is a necessary prerequisite for any attempt at external dialogue. And then lastly, without dialogue, humans are fated to walk in the darkness of their own dogmatic and self-righteousness. Dialogue is the lamp by which we dispel the darkness, lighting for each other our steps and the path ahead. So I just want to.
And dialogue, we always go back to that same, dialogue, right? You can't say enough about dialogue. And we certainly don't have a problem with talking.
No.
So, and one quick little thing, it was a personal thing. I was at this function, and this kind of distant cousin, always negative toward me, and I didn't know why. I said, did most people like me for the most part? And then I found out that she had been holding a grudge against me because apparently years and years ago, I never really praised her when she was going to school, like especially art school. I never really showed recognition of her talent. I had no idea, no idea. Now, does she love me? Love me today? No, probably not. But the fact that she was able to share that and I was able to understand, I would not even have, in my wildest dreams, have thought of that. So, and I know you listeners and viewers out there, you have experiences like that as well. It's so, we're just human, and we don't know how we're, impacting other human beings, whether on a family level, whether on a community level, our neighbors, we don't know. So without dialogue, it's so easy to hold on to that negativity, and that negativity destroys us. It really does. So if you want to lead a healthy life, don't, worry about taking all these vitamins that are going to help you. Take the vitamin of getting rid of grudges. That's the ultimate vitamin. Then you'll feel, and drink plenty of water, as our
Yes,
son
of
always
course.
tells us. But yeah, that's how you overcome grudges. So with that,
I guess we'll be saying.
So long for now. This
now.
is our 49th episode. Next time is our 50th episode. Yahoo. Okay, so we are Don't Mess with the Mommas, MOMMAS. And
You are the protagonist of your life, not the victim of your destiny.
You can find us on all platforms. You could see us if you want to. You could listen to us. And you could write to us, Mommas, MOMMAS .podcast at gmail.com.
They can even find us on Blue Sky.
Oh, we're on Blue Sky now too.
I put us on Blue Sky.
All right, and then I put us on Substack too. I think I did.
Okay.
And then I think we're on Reddit, but under a different name. I have no idea what we're doing, but anyway, that's okay.
But we always come up with something.
We always come up with something, yeah. So thank you so much. Bye for now. Get rid of your grudges. Really have dialogue and lead happy, wonderful, significant lives.
Think about what the other person is going through.
Yeah, we're all going through something. Okay, bye for now.
Bye.